Welcome to your first Biochem 1001 lab on titrations of an amino acid. This is the setup you'll find in the lab, and on the left you have two flasks, one of acid and one of base, and then you'll have two beakers, both of the same unknown amino acid, one for titrating with the acid and one for titrating with the base. The colored reagents are to calibrate the pH meter, which we'll show you in a minute. And you have a waste beaker, pH meter, and machinery on the right. And then you have a stir plate where you will place your beaker and your burette and clamp for titrating. First, we're going to show you how to calibrate your pH meter. You begin by turning it on by holding down the on button. In this situation, you see here that the standards have already been cleared. But in the case that it says calibrated, you need to erase the calibration. So you would, if that was the case, press cal and then clear twice to clear the remaining standards, and then you're ready to calibrate. So the first thing, after turning it on, you remove the storage buffer. So you just unscrew, you remove. And you want to make sure that you never leave your pH meter exposed for too long, so this should be something you do when you're ready to use your meter. And then you wash it with distilled water and just a waste beaker. And you just rinse it and try to rinse the probe and around both sides. Okay. And then you choose one of your reagents. You can start with the highest, so pH 10. And this will standardize the pH meter with a standard curve of 2 points. So this is the first point, and you can lower your pH meter into the reagent. And screw it back on so it's stable. And you should not have the probe touching the bottom. It should just be suspended about like a centimeter under the water. And then you click read to calibrate. And the auto eye will flash, and once the auto eye is done flashing, your calibration should read 10 or very close to 10. And if it doesn't, please notify one of the TAs. So after you've calibrated your first point, you remove that reagent, and again you wash the probe with distilled water, making sure that you wash the probe underneath. And then you take your second reagent, which is the lower reagent, pH 4, and again you immerse the probe into the standard just by gently lowering it down. And again, keeping the probe off the bottom but fully submerged into the liquid. And then again, you just press read. And you wait for the auto eye again to stop flashing. Once it stops flashing, it should be locked at 4 pH, and then your calibration is finished.
So once the calibration is finished, you can press cal and then remove your pH meter from the vial. And then you want to rinse your pH meter once more. So next we're going to fill our burette with either acid or base, depending on which you want to start first. We're going to start with the acid. So first you want to make sure the stopcock is pointed like this, horizontally. If it was up and down, that's when the liquid will flow through. So we don't want that right now. Using a funnel to help you, pour in your acid and try to fill the burette as close as you can to the bottom of the funnel.
Before you begin your titration, make sure to record your initial volume, which you can read on the side of the burette, and your initial pH, which will come up on your pH meter. Then, when you're ready to start, you can turn the stopcock to vertical. This will let the acid or base out. When you start your titration, the pH can jump very suddenly, So make sure to add acid or base in very small increments. So just a very quick release. Then after you add a little bit, you can start to add in approximately 1 milliliter increments. Just take a little bit longer. You're going to titrate with about 50 milliliters of acid or base to get your full curve. One partner will turn the stopcock and the other one can record the volume of acid or base in a shunt. Once you've titrated to about a pH of 1, which should take approximately 50 milliliters, you should be ready to start with your base. Before you start with your next titration, you're going to want to let out all of the remaining acid into your waste beaker, rinse the burette with base and fill it with about 50 milliliters of base. Rinse your pH meter with distilled water, and then switch to your new beaker of amino acid. Then you should set everything up as you did with the acid, and you're ready to begin your second titration.